There are a lot of ways that we can be attacked psychically, astrally. Today I want to talk about two specific negative entities that you could find yourself under attack from and ways to actually deal with those. So let's get into that. Hi, I'm Lee Johnson and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then please click the like, the subscribe and the notification bell. And if you'd like to support the channel and allow it to grow, then also click the join button, which you can now do. Okay, so negative entities and how they attack, how to identify them, what to do with them if you are under attack. If you are under attack, as I say, we're going to speak specifically about astral parasites and self-created thought forms. And I think these are the most common negative entities that actually come along and attack people. And it doesn't need to be specifically anybody who's working magic, especially in the case of self-created thought forms. A lot of the time, self-created thought form is created by people who don't work magic. I think in most cases that comes hand in hand with people thinking it's ghosts or poltergeist or something like that. But in most cases it is a self-created thought form. If you are under attack, what you're going to find is a lot of the time, especially astral parasites, you are going to find yourself possibly in depression or anxiety, even having suicidal tendencies. So in all of these cases, please seek out professional help. Seek out a psychologist and a psychiatrist if necessary. It's vital. It's extremely vital. And if you are having a serious attack and you are not able to relieve it, get rid of it yourself, you're just having problems and it's just keeps coming back, then you can always hop over to my website, leewjohnson.com, give me a shout in the contact, the get in touch section, and you can also hire me to get rid of these negative entities. It is a remote service, so you can be anywhere in the world and I can help you with that. Alright, so let's start with astral parasites. I speak about astral parasites quite a bit on here. In demonology, quite often they are referred to as others. And these are low energy forms, often sometimes called demonic, but they are low energy entities. And quite often what happens is, especially when we're working with spirits of various types, we can find that an astral parasite gets attached to us instead of the actual demon or deity that we are wishing to communicate with. These astral parasites can come through in many other ways. You could open a portal, for instance, and not close it properly afterwards. And even if you've opened the portal to work with specific deities and those deities or demons have come through and you've worked with them and then they've gone home again, if you haven't closed the portal properly, then the astral parasites are going to come along, see the open portal and go woohoo, and they're all going to, fly towards this opening. So you could find that, if you've opened a portal within your home, you're going to have attacks in your home. But it's quite often when we don't use discernment properly. So when we're working with a deity, a demon, a divine intelligence, then we contact that demon, and what comes through is not the demon itself, but we think it is, but it's actually an astral parasite. There are ways to test this. The easiest way is how it makes you feel. If it makes you feel anxious, if it makes you feel fearful, if you feel like you're under threat or anything like that, then it's probably an astral parasite. There are some exceptions to this. depending on the work you're doing and the demon you're working with. Because sometimes the demon, and obviously what you're doing with the demon, the work you're actually doing, could be something in lines of teaching you, of, you get instances where a demon will actually literally rip your life to pieces in order to put it back together again. These are severe cases. If you work with Mammon, for instance, you might have that happen. But you need to be able to discern between the demon itself and an astral parasite. And through doing that, you'll know that it's the actual demon you're working with. And if you're going through those processes, you know what's going to come out the other end, and that's going to be a lot of happiness and a lot of improvement in your life. So there are, as I say, exceptions to the case. But generally speaking, if you are going to work with a demon and that energy of that demon comes in, it's usually quite comforting. But if it's an astral parasite that comes through, you're gonna probably feel threatened, and that's initially. As it comes through, you might feel cold, you might feel threatened. But even if the demon comes through and you do feel like an icy cold, if it's a demon, I find anyway, you still find that it's comforting. Even if it's icy cold or if it's warm, it's still a comfortable sort of feeling. But that is the easiest way to discern between the demon and an astral parasite. And over time also, if you're working constantly with this spirit, you'll find that the difference between a demon and an astral parasite is quite definite. If the entity is asking you to harm yourself or harm other people, if you are just getting more and more depressed and anxious, any of these negative emotions, any of these negative thoughts, any of these negative feelings, that's an astral parasite. A demon is not going to ask you to harm yourself. It's not going to ask you to harm other people. So if you do start having those thoughts, then you're probably dealing with an astral parasite. And with an astral parasite, what you'll usually find is you'll ask for something and you'll get it quite fast, almost immediately. And that's the astral parasite just instilling confidence in itself, so that you actually do want to work with the spirit, because it brings you things. It brings you what you ask for. But then it starts asking you for things that you're not comfortable with. And it tells you you have to do it. And it will force and force and force, and it will create more depression, it will create more anxiety, it will create more fear. And it's that fear and depression that it feeds off. So it wants to create that, but it will bring you things in order to create confidence. So if that's happening, stop. If you're getting depressed and you're getting or being told to do things that you don't want to do, stop immediately. The longer you continue that relationship, the worse it becomes, the more ingrained it becomes, the more energetically bonded you become. And then it becomes more difficult to actually release that bond and release that energy. So if you're finding that it's an astral parasite, stop. It doesn't matter if it's bringing you things, stop anyway. Okay? Because in the long term, you're just going to end up with huge problems. The way to get rid of an astral parasite, as I say, firstly, stop interacting with it, stop entertaining it, and tell it to piss off. It probably won't, but tell it anyway, and keep telling it to piss off. You don't want it around. If you draw a banishing pentagram and then project it towards the entity, it will probably disappear. If, depending on the bond you've actually created, it may come back, but just keep repeating the process until it's gone. You might also find that your environment and your house becomes messy and dirty. Clean from top to bottom. Get rid of all the negative energy, and that means cleaning. It means doing the dirty dishes. It means washing the floor. It means, if in severe cases, it can mean washing the walls and the ceiling. Get rid of all that negative energy, push that out of your house, and it will help to push the negative energy away from you and out of you. So clean your house, make sure everything's clean and tidy, and it will help to actually get rid of that astral parasite. You know, if you've got an untidy and dirty house, it's just going to attract more negativity. So make sure everything's clean. And as I say, if it's standing in front of you, if you know it's there, you can feel it standing in front of you, try drawing a banishing pentagram. You can use a banishing pentagram of the earth and sort of push it, project it towards and through this entity, and it will disappear. If it's a demon or any kind of divine intelligence, it won't disappear. There are other methods you can use, especially if you're working in the astral and you know you start working with a demon for the first time, and maybe you meet it on the astral plane, and you want to make sure that it is that demon and it's not an astral parasite that's posing as that demon. Best one is the pentagram. You can also ask it questions. You can ask it personal questions about yourself that only you know. A demon will know them, an astral parasite will not. So if they can't answer, banish. And then just go from there. As I say, if it's an astral parasite, don't engage it. Don't entertain it. Just get rid of it. Banish it. Gone. Okay? Then self-created thought forms. These come up a lot more than we think. And a lot of people don't want to believe that they have created a thought form which is attacking them. It's just something we don't want to even consider most of the time, but it happens a lot, especially if someone is in an abusive relationship. In any kind of environment or relationship where they feel threatened, what usually happens is the rage builds up, and that rage then becomes a thought form, and that thought form is constantly attacking them. Now, you might find that if you have activity in your house, because these thought forms, they can become physical, and I literally mean physical. They can throw things around, they can attack your body physically. That's how severe and how strong your thoughts can become. And those thoughts are obviously generated from negative emotions. As I say, the anger, the rage, the hatred towards a person or a situation or something. If that builds up enough, it can create that thought form, and that thought form is projected. It kind of separates itself from the person so that it anthropomorphizes, but it becomes external to them, so that in many cases it can be dealt with. Once that thought form becomes externalized, it can be dealt with, almost one-to-one. So in a lot of cases, this type of work can be healing, but in this particular case where it's generated from that rage and that hatred and that anger, it isn't really healing. It actually starts attacking the person. But as I say, to the point where it can it can start physically attacking. So if you find that you have a ghost or poltergeist in your house, things are being thrown around, books are falling off the bookshelf, those usual signs, and you have tried smudging the house or any similar method, and through that method, smudging, for instance, the activities become stronger. You've basically pissed off the entity, and it's not gone, it's still there. It is probably a self-created thought form. And there are many ways to get rid of these thought forms. I'll talk about the method that I use, which is quite advanced. So if you are battling to get rid of it, then as I say, you can just pop onto my site and you can hire me, and I'll sort that out for you. But in cases like this, it is definitely required to go and get professional help. Seek out a psychologist. You need that help. You probably are in an abusive relationship, or you have an abusive environment where you are constantly being attacked and you are not able to fight back. And through that, it creates the rage and the anger and the hatred. You need help. And if you are in abusive, physically abusive relationship, emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, get the help you need. That's going to be a psychologist, but it might also be the police. If you need to get the police involved, get them involved. You cannot stay in that situation, and do not think for a minute or a second that it will stop. Do not think that things are going to get better or things will change. They will not. You need to get out. You have to. And concerning the thought form itself, if you do find that you have a thought form, the main way is to get that help, because then you can actually help yourself overcome that rage and anger and hatred. And it's those emotions that the thought form feeds on, and the fear that it creates. So if you can work through and get rid of those emotions, the thought form is just going to disintegrate. It's going to dissolve, because it has no more fear to actually feed on. And that's what it feeds on, and what it grows stronger from is your own fear. As it attacks you, it creates fear. It also creates more anger. And that's what it feeds on. It just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So work through that. Work through the situation in your life. Work through those emotions and try and resolve them. Now, the method that I use to help other people is that I eat. Literally eat the thought form. What this means is that you gather up the thought form, you put it into something, a cake, a cookie, something you can actually physically eat. And through that process, you actually transmute the negative energy into something positive. And you push it into the item of food, and then you physically eat it and you take it into yourself. And through that process, the transmutation of the energy from the negative to the positive then actually gets imbued in your body and imbued in your own energy. And you can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it for healing. But as I say, this is very advanced. So if you're not sure how to actually take that energy and transmute it, and you need it done now, seek somebody who can. Okay? Another method that I like to use is very similar. It's one whereby it's kind of instinctual actually, but I kind of gather the thought form in front of me, and then wings, can only describe them as wings, as these bright white wings actually come out of my back and kind of wrap around the thought form, and then actually pull it in and actually absorb the energy into myself. And through that process, through the process of the wings actually wrapping around and creating comfort, almost, it feels like comfort, it transmutes the negative energy into something positive. Then I take it into myself and it becomes positive energy. So as I said, again, I'm going to repeat it again, advanced methods. Make sure you know what you're doing before you do this kind of thing, because if you pull that energy in, you haven't transmuted it into something different, you're just going to pull in negative energy, you're going to pull in anger, rage, hatred, which is not going to do you much good. So definitely figure it out first before you do something like that. But as mentioned, the number one way to get rid of a self-created thought form is to seek out professional help and deal with the situation, deal with your emotions, get those sorted out. And it's going to take a long time. It's not going to be overnight. And even if you do some kind of working where you transmute the energy and you somehow, whatever you do, you get rid of this thought form, if you're still in that environment and you are still feeling those feelings of anger, rage and hatred, it's just going to create itself again. So that's why you need to actually deal with that circumstance and get it resolved. Okay, so I hope that helped in some way. And that's it for this week. And I'll be back next week with more interesting tidbits. So, have a great week. I'll see you then. Cheers.